All right, part three. We just finished Harriet, Respect. Now we're going to this film. I'm gonna pronounce it as Nezha. It's from 2019. Make sure I got the right one. Yes. Okay. This is a Chinese film. I'm sure there's an English version out there or English subtitles. I did not check, but if you don't like subtitles, reading subtitles, and that's all you can watch to access this, then don't watch it. This is a foreign Chinese film, but it's an animated film. And apparently, this and the sequel that came out like a year or two ago is some of the highest-grossing films in China. I don't know about globally. I'd be interested because I only like look at American films when it comes to like the highest grossing films of all time. Yeah, Chinese films would probably be included in that too. Anyway, Nezha is about a lot. But basically a child is born sort of unintentionally as a demon. So he grows up as an outcast, but it's not really his fault. It's not really his parents' fault, or the fault of the people who did it to him. And by people who did it to him, I mean like the sort of mythological, magical, fantastical beings that exist in this universe. Gods, creatures, goddesses, like wizards and sages, and I don't know. I enjoyed the animation in this. It is the animation style I think was not as good as Puss in Boots, but there are some parts of this that looked great that I don't think, like, there's some, like, in terms of imagination, there's some sequences in this animation film that I haven't seen in American animation films. Like, American animation films, I think, play kind of safe when it comes to, like, really stretching the creativity of what you can do with fantasy in animation. This film is a pretty good example of, like, a different country with its own culture, its own mythology, its own, like, take on filmmaking, and for animation and kids films, and making, and it's it's Nezha. Again, it's for children, but I just appreciate the art in the film, and the sort of concepts when it comes to a fantasy that this film brings up, especially father-son, mother-son relationships, because this is a family film at the end, a family-friendly film, but I mean like a family film about this family that tries to grapple with like the situation they're put in, where like the son, like just for any reason has to be like this sort of, not devil son, but like, yeah, demon is the word they use. So, will he always be a demon? Will the family reconcile? Watch the movie and find out. Next up is Arcane, League of Legends. This is a show that I would relate to in a way with my same review as my last video of the show, The Expanse. League of Legends, this is a great show, animation film. And I want to be sure, I think it's from France. Yeah, it felt like a European production. It's a French production. In English, so, you know, I know it's kind of big here. Steampunk action adventure television series, yeah. As Wikipedia would describe it. I like this series because of the color, the animation, the color, and I'm trying to, like, it is different than like Puss in Boots, different than like Spider-Verse. I like how a lot of these new animated shows and movies, I guess with the technology and like, we have different creators now. Like, you can really set your own tone, your own like aesthetic as an animator, so it doesn't look like other animation films. And Arcane League of Legends definitely feels like it has its own sort of animation style to it, and I really like it. And that's part of the one of the like engaging aspects of the show. And it kind of, and you follow different people from different positions of power, from different sides, different conflicts in this one. So it's really political in the sense that, like, when it comes to like the distribution of goods and services in this type of universe and society, you do get like the intentions and motivations from different people who either like receive or give like those types of like access. That's a really weird way to word it. Because a lot of the drama and the conflict does come from people who feel like they should have more, or from people who feel like they should keep what they have. And I've never played the game League of Legends. I know nothing about it. Kind of like with the comic Marvel movies and DC. Like, I don't read comic books. I just watch the movies. I watch the shows. But I loved Arcane League of Legends. It was a great. Oh, and the music in it, kind of like how James Gunn puts music in his movies. Like in this one, like some of them are French, if not all of them. I don't know, but I like the soundtrack for the soundtrack for this series. If and me as someone who really enjoys music, it did make it more engaging for me. Oh, and also the evolution of characters, the character growth, because there's a big time jump. I think maybe in the middle of this show, I don't know, slight spoiler, sorry, but I really enjoyed seeing these characters when they were kids and seeing what type of adults, like young adults, they grow up into, and it makes sense. Whether like it's like the extreme versions of like the ideas they had for themselves and for the world, but like more brought to like life and fruition. By like the second half of is it 2 seasons or 1? I think it was 1 season. I don't know. I forget. I just enjoyed it, and the animation is just so colorful. I would say more so than like other American shows I've seen. I don't know how to say it. There's a good mix of 3D and 2D in this show, and the colors just seem more like vibrant. And even if they're dull, it still feels strong. I don't know. Like from a visual standpoint. That's Arcane League of Legends. Check it out if any of that sounds familiar. It's pretty good. All right, Hedda. Okay. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but it's this one, Hedda or Hedda, starring what's her name? That actress. And Tessa Thompson. Yeah, and directed by Nia DaCosta. Where have I heard her before? Anyway. This show, as a man, could help me understand the mind of women more. This film is based off like an older. I mean, the plot and setting of the story before took place. It was originally took place in a much earlier time than like the setting in this movie. But this movie tried to modernize it somewhat. I mean, probably looks like it's something from like a party for this type of like people like in the 1900s or 1990s. I mean, I don't know. Still kind of old fashioned. But I just liked how it was all about one night. All like it's a movie about gossip and rumors, drama, kind of stuff. Like I'm not really into so much when it comes to the type of drama I want to follow. Because I'm not really a social guy who enjoys like this type of stuff in parties or whatever, I guess. I don't know. Like it's not really my scene. But this movie made it accessible for people like me. And that's what I love about this movie. It's done in like a mainstream way. Where I kind of understand all these characters and where they're coming from, even if I feel like I have not been able to relate to them on any level before. Mainly like the women. It does a good job of like showing like the struggles they go through, even in settings as simple as like a party. And it goes into like the sort of hierarchy of like universities and relationships between teachers, and people in positions of power that within like a school system. So it's kind of cool. No, that's not actually like an aspect of the film I want to emphasize a bit more. I like kind of being like feeling like I'm understanding the drama that's happening in the party, but also like the reason why there's that party, the second part of it, which is like the drama at the university that a lot of these characters are tied into, and how their relationships within that university or the different power dynamics between them affect each other and either make them like kind of really selfish people, or if they want to be selfless people and help people get out of the sort of messy situations they're in. Wow, he is pretty good. It's a good film. Romance drama. Yeah, I guess I would call it that. I would call it drama, that's for sure. Romance. Yeah, there is romance in it. Enough to call it a romance? I don't know. Moving on to Mountainhead. Wait, how much time do we have left? This goes by fast. Oh, we got a lot of time. Mountainhead is a hilarious movie. Let's see if it's going to show up. Yes, here we go. Mountainhead. It's sort of about 4 tech guys who are like at the top of their field, and and they're meeting just like as like a private meeting between like 4 successful people in the field. They're they're showing off to each other, they're teasing each other, and then they find out that their products around the world are slowly collapsing civilization. They're getting news feeds on their phone like, oh, because of their, for example, their AI products. Oh, there's what do you call it, like a, I don't know, breakdown in civil society in Mexico, or oh, this government collapsed, or oh, this president has been assassinated. Like, and the whole movie, they're still trying to justify like how their technologies is helping the world, while at the same time is obviously creating a lot of instability. A lot of it is like AI and misinformation. That's a big aspect of like what's talked about in this film, and how it could be misused. So, oh yeah, here, satire, comedy, drama. Yeah, I would call it that. Yeah, because the story takes place in the this Mountainhead little like house, fancy house that one of these people owns, where he invited the other three. Even though there are all these events that are referred to happening outside, like globally around the world, the story is confined within this house. I recommend it if you're into what I just talked about. That sounds interesting. All right, next up, Predators. All right, Predators. This is the documentary that came out 2025. So Predators is based off that show that I've heard about but never seen, like where the narrator or like the showrunner, like you actually see him on camera and he tricks or traps people who are doing like predatory criminal acts, or they're caught before actually kind of doing the act. Oh, well, anyway, I'm saying it vaguely because that's what this Predators documentary tries to like bring up when it comes to like how, at least in the past, predators were caught and the tactics that was used to catch them, and how should I say this? How lives are affected. Of course, the people who are put in jail because of it, but also the psychology of the people who catch them, the people who trick them, the people who lie to trick these people. It's an interesting documentary for me because again, yeah, there was that popular show, like I think to catch a predator, to catch a to catch a predator. Yeah, that's what it's called. Here it is. I never seen it, but I watched that show. So this documentary is about that show and about the tactics about it, and the filmmaker himself of this documentary, I think, does not have a black and white position on like whether the show helped or did not help society. Because another aspect that this documentary brings up is sort of the sensationalism and the entertainment that is built around catching predators. Like, it's like something we look forward to every day to see on screen. And like, is that healthy for a culture to like be entertained by watching people like sabotage their own lives and in that way? Whereas like other ways that to rehabilitate people, you know, instead of just putting them in prison and making them like fools on national TV, ruining their lives forever. Like, yeah, that's the type of thing this documentary brings up. And I do like it. I like it because I feel like as an American, I'm a bit more aware now of that Catch a Predator show, which I know was really popular, so I kind of get where people are coming from, and I see the appeal of it, and I see the director's sort of challenge of that concept, like, of challenging the entertainment industry, and sensationalism, and especially when it leads to life or death situations, which this documentary does bring up from time to time. Alright. This is kind of a weird one to talk about, but I liked it, and I found it enlightening, and if any of that sounds interesting, you should check it out. Alright, next up is The Flood. Okay, this is so niche. You're either gonna love it or not love it, you're gonna like it or not. I like it. This is like, this is a very, it's not a perfect blend of these two, but it's a really interesting blend of like emotional, surreal, dreamlike, but like really accessible emotions, and heavy sci-fi elements, and if you combine them, you get the Great Flood. Um, the Great Flood, and like as the movie progresses, it becomes like the sci-fi elements increase to a point where me as a viewer, I started seeing it as like a daydream. Like I felt like I was increasingly like locked in a dream, where even though the sci-fi elements were becoming heavier, the emotion of it, like the emotional impact of going through all those sci-fi elements, and in some ways repeatedly, it turns it turns my perspective of looking at it from a scientific level into almost a purely emotional level. So by the end, like I'm just really emotionally invested in what I'm seeing on the screen, even if it doesn't really make sense. But it did. Like I was able to follow the sci-fi elements of it. But I was just tuned into like the relationship between the mother and the son, and that's basically what this movie is about. How far a mother is willing to go to save her son, and it brings up like AI. It brings up like cyborgs in a way. Oh, this movie and like simulations, which is crazy because the first 20 minutes of this, there's none of that. So, slight spoiler, should not have told you that. But then again, if you've heard anything about that, what I said is like the tip of the iceberg. So, but don't watch this if what I said does not interest you, because this is a unique. Oh, also, it's Korean, so there are subtitles. I'm sure there's English dub, but it's not the same as like hearing it in the language it's from. So if you don't like reading subtitles, but you want to watch it in its like language of origin, don't watch it. Okay, we're almost done. Next up, wait, how much time do we have? Perfect. Sometime. Next up is Avatar: Fire and Ash. So I shamelessly really enjoy these Avatar movies. These are some of the few movies I am willing to go to the theater to and see. Usually I have the patience to wait until it's on streaming to watch movies I like, but movies like this kind of remind me why I love movies and going to the cinemas in the first place. So real quick, Avatar: Fire and Ash, like its predecessors, are built around, I think, two main concepts. Technical prowess from James Cameron. Like these are technically visually stunning, beautiful films to look at. And this kind of goes into like escapism, like pure escapism, you know. And two, easy stories to follow. These movies are not that complicated. They're kind of simple plots. And even when like allegiances change and there are betrayals, you still kind of like it's still easy to follow the motivations and intentions of these characters. And the third aspect of this film, which I find like just an incredible bonus for this movie, is the conversations that come out of it. People talking about like genocide, colonialism, racism, I don't know, the xenophobia, environmentalism. Like I would argue the movies are not about that. They're just about like family dramas, you know, dramas between rivals, different tribes, of like groups of people, but like in the backdrop of this beautifully stunning, realized, well thought out CGI world. But like again, like these conversations about that the movie does bring up, I think just makes it like a big plus. Like to me, these Avatar movies are the epitome of American entertainment. Again, like excellent visuals, and I would say the music too. Simple stories, easy to follow, and family friendly. I would argue, even though there's some violence in these movies, but like a lot of the main characters are children. They're kids. You know, they take up a lot of screen time. Like this is a movie accessible for a lot of people. And Fire and Ash, like to me, is just like the way Awar did. We're just building up that world, more world building, more characters, you know, more surprises, more like surprise unions, and you know, of course, that third act action battle, it is kind of repetitive. I get why people complain about these movies the same, but to me, they're not. Like, I mean, yeah, there is a battle at the end, but, you know, it's a different kind of battle. There are some new elements to it, bigger elements to it, too, compared to the ones before. And looking at the production of this film, like, there are things between Way of Water and Ash and Fire that were supposed to either be combined into the same film or, yeah, having a split. I don't think it was the plan. and I think they just picked and chose and split what they could. Whatever. I mean, that was like some behind the scenes stuff I read about. So Fire and Ash is good. I mean, it's hard. I liked it. There's like kind of a lot I can say about these Avatar movies and Fire and Ash, but I don't really want to go too much into detail or like talk too much about it or waste my time or seem like I'm a nerd for James Cameron and his movies, but I kind of am. All right, next up, yeah, one battle after another. This one is from Paul Thomas Anderson. Apparently Paul Thomas Anderson, aka PTA, is a big name director, and I say apparently because I don't really watch his films. Maybe because I'm older. I mean younger than most of his fans. All right, but this is a new one, and I'll say this was a great. I want to say a great film. I say that vaguely because I haven't seen a film like this. Like, I'm surprised a film like this is in mainstream cinemas in the USA. Like, this goes into like, I don't know how to explain this movie. Well, okay, let's start with the title, One Battle After Another. This movie is about the ongoing resistance of people who are trying to free, like, marginalized people in the U.S. or immigrants from, like, the authority figures or the military people in the U.S. who do keep people confined if they're, like, immigrants or they're not citizens, you know, for example. So the movie is just about, the title is also about family, how there are, like, for example, being these two adults who are fighting the government to save or to free immigrants, I guess, or whatever. Or not really the government, because in the movie, a lot of these people who enslave, or I mean, who trap or who confine like immigrants, a lot of them are private military people, like private companies, private corporations, I guess. And the movie does actually a pretty decent job of explaining that, because it's not really an anti-government movie. Nor is it like anti-whatever. It's just like, it seems like it would be a very controversial movie because of the stuff it does. Like, of course, people who watch that are gonna think of like ICE. They're gonna think of like immigration control. They're gonna think of white supremacy, conspiracy theories. But this film does it in such a like direct in-your-face way, and the storyline with Leonardo DiCaprio's character, his wife, and his daughter, you'll see when you watch the movie. It's the main thread that ties this movie together. And there's some phenomenal acting from mainly I would say the men in this movie. I'm kind of I might be more of a sexist and a misogynist than I think. But when I think of like really good performances in this movie, I think of Leonardo DiCaprio, Benicio del Toro, and Sean Penn, who play really different characters, but they play them to, like, I would say, their extremes. Sometimes over the top, but usually like just below over the top, but enough to be real. Like Sean Penn, like he plays this, like, I would say insecure, but like tries to really keep it together all the time, like macho man character. Leonardo DiCaprio plays like kind of a washed out like revolutionary type of character who wants to be in the fight even today in his later years, but you know, he's getting all, literally, he's like falling off buildings. He can't keep up with the younger people. And Benicio del Toro plays like a more calm person in all this action and all this political drama. Because he's Benicio del Toro's character is someone who's like kind of on the ground 24/7, so he's kind of used to like being in a chaotic situation, how to handle himself and stay cool and calm in the head. Well, I feel like Leonardo DiCaprio's character is still kind of like sees it as not like entertainment, but like a thrill in it, which is kind of insane and crazy. I mean, kind of like an ignorant perspective, I mean, on like actual like social movements that, you know, are supposed to change society. Let's see. That's pretty much it. Like, I mean, I liked it. And when it comes to Paul Thomas Anderson, this, again, apparently big director, this is the only movie I've seen from him. But I like it. So far, I really like Paul Thomas Anderson. He makes good movies. I think that's really everything. I don't know if I want to go into anything else. Whew. Alright. I don't know why you watched, if you did, but if you did, thanks. If not, I hope you're having a pretty good day. Until then, take it easy, y'all. Peace.